Hi everyone, this is Annindita Palaus, and in today's video I'm going to talk about my experience with the Sudarshan Kriya practice, also known as the sky breath meditation technique. It is taught by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who is an Indian spiritual leader, and he had been teaching yoga and meditation for a really long time. Yet he had this feeling that there was something missing, and he wanted to bridge that gap. He wanted to teach something, the missing link, to make people happy. And he had this inner calling to go into a period of silence and fasting. And he went for 10 days on fasting and on silence, just meditating for 10 days straight. And during those 10 days of silence and fasting, he received the Sudarshan Kriya. It was an inspiration that he received from the universe. And since then, he has been teaching the Sudarshan Kriya to millions of people around the world. The Art of Living Foundation, which is a non-profit organization, has expanded a lot over the years. My personal experience with the Art of Living goes back to 2006. Back in 2006, my asthma, which I had from an early age, I believe I was a teenager, maybe 13 or 14, when for the first time I started having breathing problems. I didn't have breathing problems year-round, but only during certain seasons. And it was getting worse and worse every year for quite some time. And in 2006, one of my friends in college told me that she and her sister, who also had asthma, had taken the Art of Living course, the basic course, or the Sky course, which is now called. Sky is really just the short for Sudarshan Kriya Yoga. Back in those days, it was just known as a basic course. So she told me that she took this course, and her sister, who also had breathing problems, got cured just by doing those exercises regularly. And I was just so interested in learning it because back at that time, during that particular season, I was taking my inhaler like 5 to 6 times a day. And even then I would not feel too good, but it was already, I was using it the maximum number of times that they were suggesting to use it. So I was not using it anymore beyond that. So I was really concerned about my health at that point. And my friend suggested this to me, and so I started looking into it. In fact, here is a little secret. I hardly tell this to anybody because what they teach you at the class is not supposed to be taught by you to anybody else. You are only supposed to be learning it from a trained instructor. My friend was not a trained instructor, and yet she did teach me the basic technique. And just by doing that technique, I saw so much improvement in 1 week's time that from 6 to 7 times a day, the inhaler that I was taking, it slowly started getting cut. And within a week, I was completely off my inhaler. So that was a huge breakthrough for me back then. And so it was just so amazing. There was nothing that I had ever come across before that. Honestly, I was never really looking for spiritual practices to help me with my health problems. I was only trying medicines. So nothing helped me that much. Of course, medicines always come with side effects. So then I actually signed up for the workshop. And back in that time, it used to be a 5-day workshop, and it was, I believe, 2 to 3 hours every day. But the workshop was an amazing experience. So I feel like I might not be the only person who was taught the instruction by a friend. I'm sure there are other people also who are probably teaching their family or friends, even though they are not supposed to. And I do believe that it's best to learn it from a trained instructor. However, if you did end up learning it from a friend or a family member who has been practicing it for a long time, then I would still highly encourage that you actually take the workshop, because the Sky workshop is much more than just the mechanical step-by-step approach that you learn from just a friend or a family member. It's not just about the 4-stage pranayama practice or the 4-stage kriya practice. There is a spiritual aspect of it too. So even though I already knew the step-by-step parts when I went to the workshop, yet it was truly my very first spiritual experience, so to speak. For the first time ever, I had this experiential understanding that my problems are so petty. Compared to the vastness of the universe, I am nothing, and my problems are minuscule. And it was really an amazing experience just taking it in person with an instructor. So I would highly recommend that even if you might have watched YouTube videos or maybe you have learned from some friend or family, I would still recommend actually taking the workshop, because it's not just about the mechanics of getting the mechanics right. Of course, when you are doing the mechanics right, you are getting the physical health benefits, the mental benefits for sure. But the spiritual part of it, the experiential part of it, is best to actually be experienced by you firsthand by attending the workshop. That being said, my very first experience was back in 2006 attending an in-person workshop, and just recently in December 2020, I actually took a refresher course online through webinar. And of course, a lot has changed over the last 14 to 15 years. The course is now a 3-day experience, but in no way was the course any less than what I had experienced back then. In fact, in certain ways, I even feel like an online workshop is more intimate in certain ways, because back in India, the workshop was so big and there were so many people that I hardly had any one-on-one conversations with my teacher. But with the Zoom, there was a smaller group of people and the connection with the teacher was much more. And I'm still in touch with my teacher. Whenever I have a question, I just message him and he replies me back. Back then, when I took an in-person class, of course, in 2006, social media was not such a big deal, especially back in India. I don't even remember if I had Facebook back then or not. Even if I had, I was barely using it. I doubt I had Facebook. I'm not even sure if Facebook was there. There was no WhatsApp, there was no Messenger, nothing else. So there was no way to stay in touch with the teachers. There was email, but I was not really even using email that much back then. So I feel like doing it on Zoom by webinar was really not a bad experience for me at all. Everything that was there to be learned was still there, and we still did the exercises. There were small little breakout rooms where you could work one-on-one with a partner. They have some fun little activities and exercises planned to keep it really interesting. So it was a very nice experience, even doing it as a refresher after so many years online. And another thing I find interesting is that the community is very active and they are having a lot of free online workshops like discussions on Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, and a lot of 21-day chanting series, things like that. I have myself personally not participated in any of these series, but it's just interesting to note that they have so many things going on, which is just free for the students to come and attend. And they also have monthly satsangs. They used to be in person before, now they just do it online via Zoom. So coming to the Sudarshan Kriya, it is really a 4-stage cyclic controlled breathing practice. The meaning of the word Sudarshan, Su is a Sanskrit word that means beautiful or even proper. Darshan means vision, sight or appearance. And the word Kriya comprises of 2 words, Kri, which means action or effort, and Ya, which means soul. So the Sudarshan Kriya literally means proper vision or beautiful vision through purifying action. And the Kriya comprises of 4 stages. Of course, in this video, I will not be teaching that because I'm not supposed to. It is only to be learned from a trained instructor. I know I'm guilty of learning it from a friend first, but then I eventually did attend the workshop and also took a refresher. Because over the years, I had been doing it back in India very regularly, but slowly I became less and less regular, and I only started doing it during the periods when my respiratory problem would be bad. One thing I noticed once I moved back to the US is this, that my respiratory problems came down quite a bit, because I believe it was because of the environmental changes. There was not so much pollution here at all. That was a huge factor. And another huge factor was this, that I had a lot of free time initially when I really started going deeper and I started getting into a lot of spiritual practices. And that helped me in feeling more and more liberated from within. It enhanced my feeling of freedom. And this brings me to a very interesting experience I had with one of my Reiki clients here in the US. She recommended me this book by Louise Hay, which was A to Z of Healing. And it was basically an index from A to Z in alphabetical order of all the different types of physical ailments that you have and their energetic or mental emotional reasons. And I found that one of the reasons behind asthma was feeling stifled. And I could totally relate to that because that's how I had been feeling all my life. But once I moved here, a lot of things in my life then started changing along with the spiritual practices that I started doing. Without going into all the details about that, maybe I'll leave that for another video. But as I felt greater sense of freedom within, that also started reflecting on my health. So coming back to the sky practice, it is really a 4-stage practice that comprises of the victory breath, also known as Ujjayi breath. Then there is a bellows breath, also known as Bhastrika, and followed by Om chanting, and then the Sudarshan Kriya cyclic breathing. And there are a lot of benefits which are associated with practicing Sudarshan Kriya. In my experience, the benefits that you get from the sky meditation practice is very similar to the benefits that you would get from any other form of meditation practice that you might currently be into, whether it is Vipassana meditation or Sahaj Samadhi meditation, Transcendental meditation, or any other form of meditation. In fact, my meditation mastery students have also claimed very similar benefits from the meditation mastery program as well. So the benefits are, of course, stress reduction, feeling more calm and relaxed, and at the same time a heightened sense of alertness and vigilance. What generally happens in life is when you are relaxed, you are not alert. When you are alert, you are not relaxed. But the ideal state is when you are relaxed and alert at the same time. And meditation helps you in achieving that kind of a state where you can be very relaxed and calm, and at the same time you could be alert and mindful as well. And of course, meditation also helps with depression, Alzheimer's, and a whole lot of other mental and emotional benefits it comes with, like anti-aging, having better sleep, deep restorative sleep, overcoming insomnia, and a whole lot of other benefits which are associated with any form of meditation, in my opinion. But what was special about the sky breath technique for me personally is a story that I shared with you about my respiratory issues. Because I feel like whenever you are doing something like a yogic process that involves enhancing your lung capacity, that really helps in purifying your lungs, detoxifying your lungs, and expanding your lung capacity, which in turn benefits if you have any kind of respiratory problems. That was my personal experience. Otherwise, as far as the other benefits are concerned, with calmness, relaxation, help with anxiety and depression, all those benefits are associated with any other form of meditation as well. So maybe you have come across the Art of Living Foundation, or maybe it is something that you have never heard of before, or maybe you know about it but you have never actually attended any of their programs, and you have been wondering, what the program is and how it is to experience it. These days they are not doing it in person anymore, but I'm sure once the pandemic is completely over, things will get back to normal. But while they are doing it online, if it is something that you want to give it a try, I would suggest definitely going for it, because for me personally, there wasn't a huge difference between doing it online versus doing it in person. But I also understand that it varies from person to person. It is a very subjective experience. Since there is no clear timeline as to when things will be back to normal and the regular in-person workshops will start, if you don't feel like waiting that long, and if you want to try out the Sky Meditation Workshop, I would suggest just go for it online and you would not regret it. At least my experience was very good. So I hope this video helped in clarifying any doubts that you might have had in your mind about attending a Sudarshan Kriya workshop online. And if you have never heard about the sky breath meditation technique, then maybe it enlightened you a little bit about this specific technique of meditation. And if you feel an inner calling to check it out, then feel free to go to the Art of Living Foundation organization website. Also, if meditation is something that you are interested in, but not necessarily a Kriya technique that involves cyclical breathing patterns, then feel free to check out my Meditation Mastery webinar coming up in March. I also have Meditation Mastery program, which is currently on sale. You can check out the link below in the description. If you like this video, then like it, leave your comment, and remember to subscribe to my channel. Bye for now, and I will be back next week with another interesting video.